welcome to my YouTube video. Today I wanted to do a what's in my bag video. What's in my sewing bag, I should say. So I'm currently taking some fashion design classes because I started to learn how to sew and I really enjoyed it. So I'm taking fashion design classes, and so I have to take a bag full of my tools and sewing necessities that I'm going to need over there. And I keep it in this bag from Base. I emptied it out right now because I have everything laying in my table, but it's this bag and it fits so much stuff and it's perfect. I like keeping my scissors and any sharp objects in the bottom part here because it has this plastic, so just in case, so that it doesn't cut anything. And then in this top part, I keep pretty much everything else. So let's go ahead and begin. So let's start off strong with our scissors. So my main fabric scissors are these Kai 7230 high carbon stainless steel scissors. These are made in Japan. These are the best scissors. So I actually bought the Ginger scissors, the dressmakers, like I think they're like 9-inch scissors, and they did not cut right. The point was not sharp enough to fully cut through. When I would cut, I would just see a bunch of little like lines because it wasn't able to effectively cut. And so I bought these, which were a tad more expensive, but these are just superior. They just cut through everything, like everything. So these are my fabric cutting scissors. Next, I have these regular scissors that I bought from Target. They're just gold, and I actually did some people say in the reviews that these are Ginger dupes. So if anybody is looking for some affordables, I believe these were like $13. And I just use these as my paper scissors. But I've cut fabric with them too, and they did cut well. So I think this might be a good affordable alternative. And they don't do the thing that the Ginger scissors did, where they were just creating fuzzies at the end because they didn't actually cut through. And last but not least, some little snip scissors for cutting those loose thread ends from the sewing machine. These are from Fiskars. I also have these that I just keep at home. I actually like these a little bit better because these scissors are stronger to cut through small pieces of fabric. Sometimes if I'm cutting, like, let's say I'm cutting a corner of a fabric, these kind of struggle a little bit more, and these are better. So if anybody wants, to choose some thread scissors, I would say just get these because you can kind of multitask their use a little bit more than this. But they're both amazing. Well, this one's more amazing. And then I keep my scissors in this little scissors holder that I sewed. So I just keep them in here just because I don't want to damage my bag. So I put them in like this. And I need to get a Velcro. Well, I have it. I just need to stick it on there so this will stay closed. But for now, I just keep it like this. Alright, next I have some pattern tools that I had no idea were a thing, but I have them now. Thanks, my professor showed me. So it's a pattern notcher, and this is an awl. So the pattern notcher patterns sometimes have little lines because you need to notch the fabric, and a lot of times what I saw people do in the beginning is that people just cut the fabric, but I don't want to cut my fabric because I always just worry about frayed edges and like we have like a raw edge there. So if you cut the pattern with this notcher, it creates like a little notch where now you can just add a line on your fabric and you can match those lines together when you start constructing your garment or whatever you're making. This awl I use for darts so far. That's the only place I've seen them. So darts will have little dots that you cut out and to be able to mark those darts on your fabric. So I just poke this through. It's just like a very sharp like metal thing, and then it came with its little thing so it doesn't cut, because it's actually super sharp, like very, very sharp. And I guess that brings me to my marking tools that I use on my fabric. So of course I have these iron pens that you mark on your fabric and they erase on the iron, which is amazing. I love these. However, I also needed something that wasn't going to erase, and I kind of struggled trying to figure out what I wanted because I wasn't sure I wanted chalk. And I found these erasable sewing pens. These are like dressmakers markers, but these are water soluble, so as long as you get your item wet, the fabric wet, it's going to completely erase, and I love this. It's great because for class we mark our darts, we mark the seam allowance, our notches, and I need that to stay even after I iron, so this is what I use. When I am tracing my pattern onto dotted paper, this is what I use. So I use mechanical pencil to trace and write any information on the pattern paper. And then I use these. So I use the green one to mark the green line, the blue one to mark any hems, and I use the red one to mark any notches, any darts. And then I use this every once in a while. I don't use the black too much since I use pencil. Okay, what is next here? Of course, pens, sewing pens. These are by the brand Dritz. These are the only brand of pens I have bought so far, and I like them very much, so I've just been buying those. Hand sewing needles, of course. We have to hand sew sometimes, so these are Fiskars needles, but the package broke, so I just put them in this tiny box that I had. And these are needles from a pack of sewing notions that my sister gave me for my birthday. I have chalk here that I got from Shein, however, I actually don't use this because it breaks so easily. Like, I don't know if you can see, but the pieces are all broken in there. Next, 2-inch see-through plastic ruler. This is literally what I use in my class every single day. My professor asked us to get a 2-inch and to get a regular ruler, not those acrylic hard rulers, because apparently those are for quilting. So this actually comes in so handy, and I use it every single day. I also use this myself in my personal sewing work that I do, because I hem a lot of pants, because a lot of times they're big, and so I use this to mark the hem. And this just goes up to 7 inches, so this is really helpful for me to mark where I'm gonna cut. And yep, this is something my professor recommended, but I actually don't use this because I prefer this, to be honest, because once I figure out, you know, how much I'm gonna cut, I just make my line using this, and it's just much more handy for me. What else do I have? Oh, this is something that I use a lot when I'm hemming something. So this is by the brand Clover, and I can iron on this, and I fold up the fabric, make sure it's lined up with however, you know, let's say it's 1.5, make sure it's lined in the 1.5, and I will just iron right on top of this, and it's perfect. It makes sure that I'm nice and crisp with my hem. I also have this hem that I previously purchased after seeing it recommended, but I actually didn't really like this one because of this. I feel like this is kind of awkward. Like, I don't understand why they have this tiny cutout. I really have no clue, but it would just get in the way, and then sometimes I would reach for it to measure something small, and like, it's just kind of awkward, like this shape. If it was just like straight, that would have been better, but fortunately I have literally zero clue what this is for, so if y'all know, let me know. yeah, I found this to be way more useful, and it's smaller. It fits in my sewing bag, so it's just better, to be honest. This is a size comparison. So yes, this is the best. Of course, I have some sewing measuring tape. I actually use this more than I use this because this has like the zero starts right here. So like, to be honest, I find it a little inconvenient because I have to remind myself every time I want to use this, okay, you know, I can't just start from the beginning, I have to start here. But I do like that it's retractable though. Next, I have some point turners that I bought on Amazon. So this is very, very useful to turn the points. I also have a Tailors clapper. I love this. This is something I got on Amazon. Actually, it was a little package that came with this and a few other things. I don't take this to school because my professor has it and it's just like really bulky for me to take, but I use it all the time at home and I absolutely love this. I highly, highly, highly recommend this. Like, because before I had it, I was just like, is it really useful? You could technically put anything on top, but this is just like magic. Next, something that I use quite often with sewing is a sewing gauge. This is by the brand Dritz, and it comes in very, very helpful. I have, there's been times where like it was missing something that I needed, but like I can figure it out just by looking at the other markings, you know, but yeah, this is great. All of the popular ones are here, like 1/4, 3/8, half, and 5/8, and this is for seam allowance. So I use this to measure because my sewing machine, it doesn't necessarily say like this is 1/4, whatever, so like I forget. Next, I have 1/8 double-sided tape, and we use this to tape a zipper in place and then sew it on top. So this is very handy. That way we don't have to pin the zipper, because I feel like when you pin, sometimes stuff moves still. So this is what we use. Oh, I also have some pinking shears that I keep. And I use this to cut the tops of to cut the top of zippers, since they're already like, they have that pinking pattern at the top. Next, of course, seam rippers. This one is by the brand Clover, and this is one that came in a little pack that I bought a long time ago, before I even got into sewing. Tweezers, which come in handy whenever I'm having to thread the industrial machine, the industrial jerky machine that we have in class. We also have a few little garment items like hook and eyes, pants, hook and eye, and snaps. And I just kept it here. I bought this on Amazon by the brand Dritz as well, and I just really like that it came already in its own container, because this is exactly what my professor had asked for in our class. Thread, of course, whichever fabric color I'm sewing, I always have a matching thread. A thimble for when I'm hand sewing. A threader helper, or whatever it's called. I have a little bit of mesh because for the industrial machines, if I'm using a small spool like this, I wrap it around mesh, and that helps the thread seamlessly move through. I have, what are these called? I forgot. I can't remember, but I need this to either move the sewing needle, take it out, replace it, or move the foot, the presser foot at school. Wax for my thread, and I use this for when I hand sew items. This helps condition the thread and helps it be less likely to knot. I also recently bought this on Amazon. It's like a double pencil, and I bought this to help me mark seam allowance, because I feel like marking the seam allowance takes so long. And I was like, oh, like, what if I get this and I just follow the perimeter of the fabric, and I align this to be exactly 1/2 inch, since a lot of the fabric a seam allowance is 1/2 inch, and I just do that, and I totally forgot to use it this last time, but I have it here ready to use, but I will have to let y'all know. Sewing needles, I have them here for the Juki machine, and I have this little organizer where I have bobbins for the Juki industrial machine. It's these metal ones and the metal bobbin caps. I have some buttons here, and I have more hook and eyes. I originally bought these separately, and then I found this, so I kind of wish I never bought those, but I guess I could just throw them in here too. And oh my god, is that it? I think that's it. Okay, and then an honorable mention for another thing are these fabric pattern weights that I bought from Wawak, or however, I have no clue how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it's the sewing store machine. These are cast iron. I have 3, and I just purchased a 4th one because I was thinking, okay, if I ever make a dress and I'm having to cut the skirt, I want to have one for each corner. And now I'm just like, okay, but what about one for the middle? So if I ever need a 5th one, I'll have to go buy that separately. But I currently have these, and these are literally heaven. In the beginning, I didn't think I needed them because I'm like, okay, I can just grab random stuff like a cup or whatever, but it's just does not hit the same because this covers such a large area, and it just ensures that there's no air bubbles. So highly recommend. This is just going to help improve the accuracy of your pattern cutting, I feel like. And I think that's all. I also want to show my sewing bag. So this is where I keep all my tools, but I also have the matching base bag. This is the which one is this one? I think this is the East to West tote bag, and it's really big. It has enough space for my fabric, my pattern, my bag, and then I stick my ruler in there because that one's too big. My water bottle, my wallet, it just everything fits in there. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and please follow me if you are into sewing. I am literally obsessed with sewing. I signed up for 2 classes already for next semester, Bustier Construction and Art of Fashion, and I'm so excited for Bustier Construction. I just feel like I love wearing clothes like that, so that's going to be perfect for me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!